All right, let's get into it. We're about to peel back the curtain on a topic that, it fascinates and for a lot of people kind of frightens them. The world of the unseen.
I mean, think about it. Our pop culture is just saturated with stories of the supernatural, right? From Hollywood horror flicks to those fantasy novels we all love, these ideas are literally everywhere. But what's the take from one of the world's oldest faiths?
So what does Islam actually say about this stuff? Let's kind of shift gears here, moving away from Hollywood and into a core belief that shapes the entire worldview of more than 1 billion people. Belief in the unseen, what's called Al-Ghaib in Arabic. It's actually one of the very first qualities of a believer mentioned in the Quran. So this is foundational stuff.
Okay, so before we go any further, we've got to clear up some pretty big misconceptions. Honestly, before we can even talk about what these things are, we have to be crystal clear on what they are not.
And this really gets to the heart of it. You see, in Islam, these unseen beings, well, they're not the ghosts of your dead relatives hanging around an old house. And they are definitely not fallen angels. Why? Because in Islamic theology, angels don't even have the free will to disobey God. So they can't fall. Nope, we're talking about something completely different, a separate, unique creation.
So, what are they called? Jinn. And the name itself is so cool. It comes from an Arabic root word that literally means to be hidden or concealed. In fact, it's the same root for words like Jannah, which means paradise, a garden so thick with trees you can't see what's inside, or Janeen, a fetus hidden in the womb. So the name itself perfectly captures their nature. They are a creation that is, by design, hidden from us.
So instead of thinking spooky ghost, think another species. Seriously, they're coexisting with us, but in a way we can't see. Just like humans, they have intelligence and, crucially, free will. That means they make choices. Some of them choose to be believers, to live good lives, and others, well, they choose disbelief. They have their own societies, their own families, their own beliefs, all happening in a parallel world right alongside ours. Now, because they have that free will, it means some of them have chosen a path of, well, pure rebellion and evil. And that brings us to a really important term we need to understand.
And that term is Shaitan, or devil. But here's the thing you have to get. Shaitan isn't just a name for one single being. It's more like a title, or even a job description. It's for anyone, whether from the jinn or even from humanity, who is just supremely arrogant, rebellious, and totally committed to leading others astray and pushing for evil. And this is so, so important. The Quran says the plot of the Shaitan is always weak. Now think about that. That completely reframes the entire threat, doesn't it? We're not talking about some all-powerful monster who can control you. No, it's actually a deep psychological point. The whole strategy of evil is called weak because it works through suggestion, through whispers, not through force. It's an invitation, not a command.
So what's in their playbook? Well, their real power isn't about control, it's about invitation. It's about whispering doubts into your heart. It's about making sinful things look really, really attractive. It's about stirring up baseless fears or encouraging destructive feelings like despair and jealousy. In fact, the Quran says on the Day of Judgment, the Shaitan will basically say, look, I had no real power over you. All I did was invite you, and you chose to accept. The choice, it's always ours. And that invitation brings us to the ultimate form of cooperation with these evil forces. We're talking about the reality of magic, or what's known in Arabic as sihr.
Okay, let's get one thing straight right now. This is not Harry Potter. Forget the wands, forget the fantasy spells, forget the charming wizards. The Islamic concept of magic is, well, it's a whole lot darker. It's all rooted in a really disturbing pact, a transaction.
So, what is sihr? It's a pact. It's a deal. It's literally a contract where a human being trades everything. Their soul, their faith, their very humanity, in exchange for getting some help from these devils. And for what? For some limited, supernatural power to harm other people. Usually it's all for money, or power, or status.
And this isn't something you just do once. It's a horrifying downward spiral. To get these evil jinn to work for you, a person has to commit the most profound acts of disbelief you can imagine. We're talking about things specifically designed to show total hatred for God, to disgrace Scripture, and to just strip away every last piece of your own humanity. It's like becoming a total servant of evil, and part of the deal is often recruiting other people into that same darkness. So that's magic, which needs a willing human partner. But Islamic sources talk about other ways this unseen world can have a direct impact on ours.
For instance, Jinn possession is seen as a reality. And no, this is not a metaphor. The sources are really clear that a Jinn can enter and influence a person's body and mind. Now, it's not usually a random thing. They often target someone who's in a state of extreme emotion, like intense anger or fear, or when they're spiritually vulnerable. It's an opportunistic attack, really, designed to cause chaos, confusion, or even illness. It's treated as a very real affliction.
Then there's the concept of the evil eye, or al-ain. This is the idea that a really intense, focused feeling from another person, usually extreme jealousy, but it can even be amazement, can have a real physical harmful impact on you. The way it's described is pretty powerful, like an arrow or even a bullet shot from one person's soul directly at another. And what does it target? It targets their blessings, their health, their family, their wealth, all fueled by that deep-seated envy.
Okay, so after hearing about all of these potential harms, the most important question is pretty obvious, right? What do you do about it? How do you protect yourself?
And this is where the entire perspective shifts. Islam frames protection not as, fighting monsters in the dark, but as building a fortress of faith. The solution isn't about fearing the creation, the jinn, or the magician. It's about turning your focus to the Creator and building a strong, conscious relationship with God. That relationship becomes your spiritual body armor.
So what's the core of that armor? Well, it starts with the absolute foundation, Tawheed, the pure belief in the oneness of God. Then you build on that by following the example of the Prophet, by developing what's called taqwa, which is the state of God consciousness, and by guarding your 5 daily prayers. And these aren't just empty rituals, These are the actual pillars holding up your fortress.
And then there are the daily defenses. Think of these like the guards patrolling the walls of that fortress. We're talking about simple but incredibly powerful daily actions. Things like the morning and evening remembrances, or adhkar, seeking refuge in God before you go into the bathroom, reciting specific verses before you go to sleep, especially the verse of the throne, Ayatul Kursi, even just reciting the Quran in your home. Each one of these acts builds up a constant, active spiritual shield around you.
So really, when you boil it all down, what's the #1 protection? It's this. The single greatest defense you have is strengthening your direct connection to God, period. The stronger that connection is, the more fortified you are. True safety comes from that pure worship of God alone. So, is your spiritual armor in place? Because in the end, this whole discussion isn't really about what's lurking in the dark. It's about the light that you can build inside yourself. It's not about being afraid of the enemy. It's about being so fortified by your faith that the enemy can't even find a crack to get in. So the real question isn't what's out there. The real question is what's in here.